Commander Jack Howard stood at the observation deck of Earth's orbital station, watching as the alien ship approached. It was massive, at least 5 times larger than anything humans had built. Its surface gleamed with an iridescent sheen that seemed to shift colors as it moved closer. "They're hailing us again, sir," said Lieutenant Maria Alvarez, her voice steady despite the tension in the room. Jack nodded. "Put them through." The view screen flickered to life, revealing a tall, slender being with pale blue skin and 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. Ambassador Exal Voth of the Galactic Confederation had arrived. "Commander Howard," the alien spoke, its translator converting complex chirps into English. "We are pleased to formally welcome humanity to the galactic community." It was 2150, only 3 years since humans had achieved faster-than-light travel. The discovery of the Ellis Drive had propelled humanity to the stars, but they quickly learned they were far from the first. The Confederation encompassed over 300 species across thousands of worlds. "We appreciate the welcome, Ambassador," Jack replied. "Earth looks forward to peaceful relations." Zalvoth's upper eyes blinked slowly. "Indeed, your species shows potential, though you are quite primitive by Confederation standards." Jack felt his jaw tighten but maintained his diplomatic composure. This wasn't the first time the aliens had commented on humanity's primitive state. During the initial contact 6 months ago, the Confederation representatives had seemed almost disappointed by Earth's technology and physical capabilities. Later that day, Earth's leaders gathered in the United Nations Assembly Hall in New York. Ambassador Exal Voth stood at the podium, surrounded by a delegation of various alien species. Dr. Lisa Martinez, Earth's leading xenobiologist, sat in the front row, carefully observing each alien's subtle body language. "The Confederation extends protected status to humanity," Exal Voth announced. "Your worlds will be preserved, your development monitored, and gentle guidance provided." President Kevin Chen leaned forward. "And what exactly does protected status mean, Ambassador?" "It means, President Chen, that your species is considered developing, like a wildlife sanctuary, if you will. We will ensure no harm comes to Earth while you continue to evolve." Lisa noticed how the ambassador's secondary arms twitched slightly when speaking about protection. She had spent months studying Confederation species and recognized signs of deception. After the assembly, Jack found Lisa analyzing data in her lab. "Something's off about their offer," Lisa said without looking up. "They're treating us like children or pets." Jack nodded. "I've requested access to their defensive technology. They refused, said we weren't ready for such advancement. They shared medical technology, agricultural improvements, but nothing that could be used for defense," Lisa pointed out. "It's like they're deliberately keeping us vulnerable." 3 weeks later, Jack stood beside Lisa as the first Confederation outpost was established on Earth, just outside Denver. Alien tourists began arriving daily, staring at humans with a mix of curiosity and condescension. "Look at how they watch us," Lisa whispered. "Like we're exhibits in a zoo." A group of tall, reptilian aliens pointed at a human child eating ice cream, making clicking sounds that their translators identified as laughter. "So fragile," one said. "How did they survive this long?" "Their reflexes are so slow," another commented. "And their strength is minimal. Even their young would be easily defeated by our hatchlings." Jack's communicator beeped. It was a message from his superior. "Confederation denied our petition to join their defense council. Again. 5th rejection this month," he told Lisa. "They'll share star charts and cultural databases, but nothing about potential threats or how to defend against them." Lisa's eyes narrowed. "I don't think they see us as partners, Jack. I think they see us as a resource, or maybe a potential problem they're containing." As they watched, more alien ships appeared in the sky above Denver, glittering like stars. Beautiful, advanced, untouchable. "Keep looking for answers," Jack said quietly. "I need to know what they're not telling us." In the distance, Ambassador Gavzalvoth watched the humans with all four eyes, speaking softly into a communication device. Assessment continues. Humans remain unaware of their potential. Containment protocols are in effect. 5 years passed since first contact. Humans had established a small presence in the galaxy, though always under the watchful eyes of the Confederation. Dr. Alan Miller wiped sweat from his brow as he finished his daily run on the space station's track. A group of Trixian aliens watched him with their yellow eyes, making notes on their devices. Fascinating, one said. He's been running for 40 minutes without stopping. Primitive endurance technique, another replied, but impressive for their kind. Alan pretended not to hear them. After working as a human physiologist on Starbase 7 for 3 years, he was used to being studied like a specimen. What the aliens didn't know was that he was studying them too. In his lab later that day, Alan reviewed his findings. Computer, compare human endurance metrics to galactic averages. The screen displayed a chart. Humans ranked surprisingly high in several categories: thermal adaptation, impact resistance, and especially endurance recovery. They don't realize how rare these traits are, Alan muttered to himself. Across the galaxy, Captain Susan Wright stood on the bridge of the merchant vessel Star Trader. She was the first human to command a mixed-species crew, though it hadn't been easy to earn their respect. "Captain, we're approaching the Nuren asteroid belt," said her Vordak navigator, Krex. His tone carried the slight edge it always did when addressing her. "Standard approach pattern," Susan ordered. "Quarter thrust." Krex's antennae twitched. "With respect, Captain, standard approach is inefficient here." "The belt's density." "I'm aware," Susan interrupted. "But regulations are clear about first crossings." The ship suddenly shuddered. Warning lights flashed across the console. "Asteroid collision," shouted Gare, the security officer. "Hull breach on Deck 4. "Emergency protocols," Susan said calmly. "Seal the section." Krex, plot a course through the thinnest part of the belt. Gare, redirect power to forward shields. The crew moved quickly, surprised by her quick thinking. Within minutes, the Star Trader was safely through the belt. "How did you know which section to seal before the computer alert?" Krex asked later. Susan shrugged. "I memorized the ship's layout and weak points. Humans call it preparing for the worst." "An unusual trait," Krex admitted. "Perhaps valuable." Back on Earth, Jack Howard, now General Howard, stood in a secret facility deep below the Rocky Mountains. Around him, engineers worked on ships and weapons that the Confederation knew nothing about. "Progress report," Jack demanded. Colonel Pete Barnes nodded. "We've reverse-engineered most of the small arms technology we've observed. The ships are harder, but we're making headway." "Good. The Confederation still thinks we're playing with toys." Jack looked at the prototype fighter. "Keep it that way." On a distant Confederation outpost, Lisa Martinez carefully copied data from an alien terminal. After years working alongside aliens, she had gained limited access to historical archives. What she found disturbed her. "There's an entire species missing from these records," she told Jack during their encrypted call that night. "The Vex. They're mentioned in old battle reports, then nothing." "Extinct?" Jack asked. "No. There's a restricted file that mentions containment protocols." Same phrase Salvoth used about us. Their conversation was interrupted by an emergency broadcast. An alien station at the edge of Confederation space had been attacked. The footage showed sleek black ships firing weapons unlike any the Confederation used. "Unknown hostiles," the report stated. "Extreme caution advised." 2 days later, Ambassador Gagzalvoth addressed the United Nations again. "These attacks are nothing to concern humans," he assured them. "The Confederation's military forces are handling the situation." "Who's attacking?" President Chen asked directly. "Rogue elements," Gagzalvoth replied too quickly. "Nothing that concerns protected worlds." That night, Jack met with Earth's Defense Council. "We're accelerating all programs," he told them, showing footage of the attack he'd secretly obtained. Something's coming, and the Confederation isn't telling us everything. Can we trust any of them? Someone asked. Jack thought of Lisa, working undercover. Some individuals, yes. The leadership, not a chance. In deep space, Susan Wright watched from her ship as a Confederation military vessel fired upon a small transport without warning. Her crew watched in horror. Captain, Krex whispered, those weren't hostiles. They were refugees. Record everything, Susan ordered quietly. Humanity needs to know what's really happening out here. Alarms blared throughout the Confederation research station as Lisa Martinez raced down the corridor. 3 months had passed since the first attacks, and now they were happening almost daily. The Vex were no longer a mystery, but a terrifying reality. All personnel to emergency pods, a voice announced over the speakers. Lisa ducked into a side room instead, with everyone evacuating. This might be her only chance to access the restricted archives. She had 8 minutes before the station's defense protocol would lock down all systems. Her fingers flew across the alien keyboard. The files she found made her blood run cold. The Vex Exclusion War, she read. Former Confederation members, biological assimilation capability, entire planets consumed. The truth was worse than she imagined. The Vex weren't just enemies of the Confederation. They were once part of it. A species that evolved the ability to absorb and incorporate biological and technological traits from other species. They had been banished centuries ago after attempting to forcibly assimilate several worlds. A distant explosion rocked the station. Lisa quickly transferred the files to her personal device and ran for the escape pods. Across the galaxy, Captain Susan Wright's merchant ship emerged from hyperspace near the colony world of New Horizon. What they saw left the entire crew speechless. Black ships surrounded the planet. Beams of energy cut through defense stations like they were made of paper. On the surface, fires were visible even from orbit. Captain, we should retreat, Krex urged. We're unarmed. Susan gripped the command chair. There are 50,000 colonists down there. Scan for survivor signals. Multiple distress beacons detected, reported Gare. But the Vex ships will detect us if we move closer. Susan made a decision that would change how the galaxy viewed humans. Engage emergency protocols. Mask our engine signature and prepare for atmospheric entry. That's against all Confederation protocols, Krex protested, and possibly suicide. Note your objection, Susan said firmly. Then help me save those people. Using the planet's magnetic field as cover, the Star Trader slipped past the Vex fleet. They landed near a colony outpost where hundreds of people were trapped by advancing Vex ground forces. Susan organized the evacuation personally, using mining equipment to dig an escape tunnel while her crew converted cargo containers into makeshift passenger compartments. When a Vex patrol discovered them, Susan used her limited weapons and quick thinking to create a diversion, allowing the final group of colonists to board. The Star Trader escaped with over 600 survivors, using a daring maneuver through the planet's debris field that no Confederation captain would have attempted. Word of the human rescue spread quickly across Confederation communications. For many species, it was the first time they had seen humans as anything but primitive. On Earth, General Howard reviewed the latest intelligence reports in his underground command center. The Vex attacks have increased by 200% in the last month, Colonel Barnes reported. They're moving in a clear pattern, and that pattern is heading toward Earth. What about Confederation defenses? Jack asked. They're failing. The Vex adapt to each new weapon the Confederation deploys. Jack studied the star map. How long until they reach us? At current speed, 3 months, maybe less. Jack activated the Global Defense Network communications. Begin Operation Thermopylae. Full mobilization of all hidden resources. Around the world, secret facilities began producing weapons and ships based on modified alien technology. The preparations they had made in secret for 5 years were finally being revealed. Meanwhile, On the edge of Confederation space, a Vex command ship received a new analysis from their scouts. Humans display unusual adaptability, the report stated. Their rescue operation on New Horizon demonstrates problem-solving beyond expected parameters. The Vex commander processed this information. Adjust invasion priority. Earth must be eliminated first. Humans represent unforeseen evolutionary competition. The decision was made. While the Confederation continued to view humans as a primitive species needing protection, the Vex had recognized the truth. Humanity's potential made them the greatest threat to Vex dominance. The storm was no longer approaching. It was here. The sky over New York turned black as hundreds of Vex ships entered Earth's atmosphere. Similar scenes played out over every major city around the world. The invasion of Earth had begun. General Jack Howard stood in the Global Defense Command Center, watching as the first wave of attacks hit the planet's outer defenses. Shield networks at 60% and falling, reported Colonel Barnes. They're hitting us harder than we expected. Deploy the orbital platforms, Jack ordered. The secret defense satellites they had built over the past 5 years activated, revealing weapons based on modified Confederation technology. Ambassador Xalvoth appeared on the main screen. General Howard, what is the meaning of this? Earth has developed military technology against Confederation regulations. We're fighting for our lives while you abandoned us, Jack replied coldly. The time for regulations is over. The Confederation Council has decided Earth is, regrettably, lost. We've established a quarantine zone around your solar system. Jack's face hardened. So much for your protection. The connection cut as a massive explosion rocked the command center. Vex forces had broken through the outer defenses. In the skies above Chicago, Dr. Alan Miller piloted one of Earth's new fighter ships. His understanding of alien physiology had helped engineers design cockpits that enhanced human reaction times. Eagle Squadron, form up, Alan called to his pilots. Remember, the Vex adapt quickly. Don't use the same attack pattern twice. The human fighters were smaller and less powerful than Vex ships, but they moved in unpredictable ways that confused the enemy targeting systems. Alan's squadron destroyed 12 Vex ships before being forced to retreat. As they flew back to base, Alan saw the city below in flames. The Vex ground forces were moving through the streets, absorbing human technology as they encountered it. Each hour made them stronger. In orbit, Lisa Martinez arrived in a stolen Confederation shuttle. She had barely escaped the research station with her life and the critical information about the Vex. Earth's orbital defenses nearly shot her down before recognizing her signal. I need to see General Howard immediately, she told the security team that met her. I know how to fight the Vex. Lisa was rushed to the command center, now relocated to a bunker deep under the Rocky Mountains. She found Jack directing what remained of Earth's coordinated defense. The Vex are biological assimilators, she explained, showing him the stolen data. They absorb traits from species they conquer, but the process has a weakness. Their adaptation requires stability to integrate new biological material. Jack looked up from the battle displays. How does that help us? If we can disrupt their biological processes during assimilation, it creates a cascade failure. Their entire system breaks down. Halfway across the world, in what remained of Beijing, a group of civilians huddled in a subway tunnel as Vex forces searched the city above. Among them was an old physics teacher named Wei Chen. They adapt too quickly to our weapons, a soldier said after returning from a failed counterattack. It's like they learn from each hit. Wei had been listening carefully. Perhaps that is their weakness, not their strength, he said quietly. If they must constantly adapt, they must also be constantly changing. The soldier looked at him strangely. How does that help us? In physics, systems undergoing rapid change are unstable. Wei explained. What if we force them to adapt too quickly? Similar insights were emerging around the world as humans began to understand their enemy. In orbit, Captain Susan Wright arrived with a fleet of merchant vessels converted to carry refugees. She had spent weeks gathering survivors from Confederation worlds, building a ragtag group of ships and allies. "This is Captain Wright requesting emergency landing clearance," she transmitted. "I have 2,000 refugees and something else you need. 17 alien scientists who want to help Earth fight back." From his command center, Jack watched the situation map as red indicators of Vex control spread across the planet. Nearly 40% of Earth was now under enemy occupation. But for the first time, a plan was forming. "Get those scientists to Dr. Martinez immediately," he ordered, "and prepare all remaining forces for Operation Counterpunch. We're not just going to survive this, we're going to win." 3 months into the war, Earth was a changed world. Cities lay in ruins. Millions had died. But the Vex invasion had slowed. Humanity was fighting back in ways the aliens never expected. In what used to be Denver, a team of human soldiers moved silently through the rubble. They wore simple clothes, not military uniforms, and carried weapons that looked makeshift but were deadly effective. "Beta team in position," whispered Sam Kelly into his radio. His group had spent weeks studying Vex patrol patterns in this sector. "Charlie team ready," came the response. "The target is approaching." A Vex patrol moved down the empty street. Their bodies were partially mechanical, with blue lights glowing beneath semi-transparent skin. They had assimilated human DNA, making them more adapted to Earth's gravity and atmosphere. Sam gave the signal. From hidden positions, his team attacked using a mix of modified Confederation weapons and simple traps. The first wave knocked out 3 Vex instantly. The remaining Vex quickly adapted their shields to block the energy weapons, just as expected. "Phase 2, Sam ordered. Charlie team attacked with completely different weapons, primitive but effective crossbows firing bolts treated with a compound Lisa Martinez had developed. The biological disruptor forced the Vex to adapt again. Before they could stabilize, Beta team attacked with a third weapon type. The rapid forced adaptations overwhelmed the Vex systems. Their bodies convulsed as they tried to change too quickly, just as Wei Chen had theorized. Within minutes, the entire patrol was down. "Command, this is Beta Leader. Sweep complete. Theory confirmed. Multiple forced adaptations work." In the Rocky Mountain Command Center, General Howard received similar reports from resistance groups worldwide. The asymmetric warfare tactics were working. The Vex expected conventional battles, he told his staff. "They don't understand how humans fight when our backs are against the wall." Dr. Alan Miller entered with Lisa Martinez and 2 alien scientists. "We've modified the biological disruptor," Lisa explained. "It can now be delivered through air dispersal." Alan nodded. "We can load it onto the remaining fighters. Hit their command centers directly." Jack studied the battle map. "We've pushed them back in 12 sectors, but they still control most coastal cities. If we concentrate our forces here," he pointed to the map, "we can split their units." In orbit, Susan Wright's fleet had grown. More alien ships had joined, bringing supplies and volunteers who believed the Vex must be stopped. Many were scientists or merchants who had worked with humans and seen their potential. "The Confederation fleet is moving," Krex reported from his scanner station. Susan moved to the viewport. A group of Confederation military vessels approached the quarantine line. "Are they finally coming to help?" asked Gare. Susan wasn't sure. She opened a channel to the lid ship. Ambassador Xalvoth's face appeared on screen. "Captain Wright, the Confederation Council has sent observers to assess the situation on Earth." "Observers?" Susan couldn't hide her anger. "Earth is fighting for survival." "Which is remarkable," Xalvoth replied. "No species has successfully resisted Vex occupation before. The Council is reconsidering their evaluation of humans." In Australia, a major battle was underway. The Vex had established a processing center in Sydney, but resistance forces led by Navy Commander Diane Foster had surrounded it. "All units in position," her lieutenant reported. Diane nodded. "Begin Operation Trojan." Instead of attacking directly, they used captured Vex communication signals to feed false data to the enemy. The confused Vex sent half their forces in the wrong direction, while human teams infiltrated the facility. Once inside, they planted devices designed by Wei Chen and Lisa Martinez, simple timers attached to containers of the biological disruptor. As they escaped, the devices activated, catching hundreds of Vex in mid-adaptation. The entire facility collapsed as the aliens' biological systems failed. It was the first major human victory, and news spread quickly across the planet and beyond. In his command ship, the Vex Supreme Commander received the reports with something close to concern. Humans adapt faster than we do, it communicated to its officers, not biologically, but mentally. This was unexpected. For the first time in the long history of Vex conquests, they were being pushed back. The species they had dismissed as weak was proving to be their most dangerous opponent. 1 year had passed since the Vex first attacked Earth. The planet's surface was scarred with the marks of war, but humanity had not broken. Instead, they had grown stronger. General Jack Howard stood at the entrance of what was once a shopping mall, now converted into a massive manufacturing center. Inside, thousands of people worked to build weapons designed by Dr. Miller and the alien scientists who had joined Earth's cause. Production is up 30% this month, Colonel Barnes reported. Every resistance cell on the planet now has access to biological disruptors. Jack nodded, watching as civilians worked alongside soldiers. And the special project. Dr. Martins says it's ready for testing. They walked to a sealed section of the facility where Lisa Martins waited with a small team. On a test platform sat a device no bigger than a coffee maker. The bioecho, Lisa explained. It doesn't just disrupt Vex adaptation, it reverses it, forces them back to their original form before they absorbed any new traits. Jack studied the device. Can it be mass-produced? With the help of Captain Wright's alien engineers, yes. We need rare materials, but her fleet has been gathering them from abandoned Confederation outposts. In orbit, Susan Wright's fleet had grown to over 60 ships. What began as a rescue mission had become a symbol of resistance. Species from across the galaxy who feared the Vex now looked to Earth with hope. Susan was meeting with representatives from 7 alien worlds when an alert sounded. Massive hyperspace signature detected, reported Krex. It's the Confederation main fleet. On the main screen, over 100 Confederation battleships appeared. At their center was a vessel twice the size of the others. The Council ship, whispered one of the alien representatives. The full Galactic Council has come. A transmission came through. Ambassador Xalvoth appeared, but beside him stood the High Chancellor of the Confederation, a tall being with crystalline features. Captain Wright. The High Chancellor spoke. The Confederation has observed Earth's resistance with great interest. After much deliberation, we have decided to offer our assistance. Susan's expression remained neutral. Your assistance comes rather late, Chancellor. Indeed. A mistake we acknowledge. The Council underestimated both the Vex threat and human potential. After the transmission, Susan immediately contacted Earth. They want a meeting. All our top leaders, plus their council. I don't trust this sudden change of heart. On the ground, the Vex were being pushed back on multiple fronts, but they remained dangerous. Outside Chicago, Commander Diane Foster led a mixed force of human and alien fighters against a Vex stronghold. They've adapted to our disruptors, her lieutenant warned as they took cover behind a collapsed building. Diane smiled grimly. Then it's time for Plan B. She signaled, and her troops pulled back, seemingly in retreat. The Vex forces followed, moving away from their protected base. Now, Diane ordered into her radio. Miles away, Dr. Alan Miller activated a massive transmitter. It broadcast a signal that mimicked Vex biological patterns, but with subtle errors. The pursuing Vex troops suddenly stopped, their systems confused by the false signals that triggered unwanted adaptations. While they were vulnerable, Diane's forces struck from multiple directions, using old-fashioned explosives that required no technology the Vex could adapt to. The battle was won in less than an hour. Back at command, Jack Howard met with Lisa Martinez and Susan Wright, who had returned to Earth for the council meeting. "I don't trust them," Jack said bluntly. "They abandoned us when the war started. But we need their resources," Lisa pointed out. "The Vex are still adapting to our tactics." Susan showed them a data tablet. "My sources in the Confederation fleet say there's something else. The Vex have built something at their main base in Australia, some kind of doomsday device." Jack studied the intelligence reports. "If that's true, we need to move faster than planned. Tell all resistance cells to prepare for Operation Thunderbolt." He looked at the map of Earth, now a patchwork of free territories and Vex-controlled zones. "It's time to take back our planet. All of it." In their primary hive in Sydney, the Vex Supreme Commander received news of another defeat. It turned to its assembled commanders, its voice a cold, mechanical sound. "If we cannot defeat humans through conquest," it decided, "we will defeat them through destruction." Dawn broke over a world at war. Operation Thunderbolt began with simultaneous attacks on all Vex strongholds around the globe. It was humanity's final push to reclaim their planet. General Jack Howard watched from a mobile command center as reports flowed in from battlefronts worldwide. The Confederation fleet, now allied with Earth, provided orbital support, destroying Vex ships attempting to escape or bring reinforcements. "Sydney is our primary target," Jack told his officers. "All other attacks are diversions to thin their forces." The Vex doomsday device, according to intelligence, could alter Earth's atmosphere to make it permanently toxic to humans while perfect for Vex biology. They had to stop it before activation. Captain Susan Wright led the space battle, coordinating the mixed fleet of human, Confederation, and independent ships. Her experience with diverse crews made her the perfect commander for this unified force. Vex reinforcements detected, Krex reported from his station. "They're breaking through Sector 7. Redirect Blue Squadron to intercept," Susan ordered, "and have the Confederation cruisers move to support position." The aliens who once looked down on humans now followed Susan's orders without question. Her reputation had spread across the galaxy as a brilliant tactician. On the ground outside Sydney, Dr. Alan Miller and Commander Diane Foster led the main assault force. They had the most important job, creating an opening for the strike team. "Remember the plan," Alan told the assembled soldiers. "Constant weapon rotations. Don't give them time to adapt." The battle began with a barrage of conventional explosives, followed immediately by energy weapons, then biological disruptors. The rapid changes overwhelmed the Vex defenses, creating chaos in their ranks. "Strike team, go now," Diane ordered. Lisa Martinez led the Special Forces team carrying the bioecho device. They slipped through the gap in Vex defenses, fighting their way toward the center of the hive. 2 minutes to target, Lisa reported over the secure channel. Ambassador Zalvoth, now fighting alongside humans, provided guidance from Confederation intelligence. "The Doomsday device will be guarded by the Supreme Commander. It never leaves its side." Inside the hive, Lisa's team encountered heavy resistance. 3 soldiers fell to Vex attacks, but they pushed forward, using the tactics that had proven effective over the long war. "There it is," Lisa whispered as they reached a central chamber, a massive machine pulsed with blue energy. Beside it stood the Vex Supreme Commander, twice the size of normal Vex, with multiple limbs and a body showing traits from dozens of assimilated species. Humans. It spoke in a voice like grinding metal. "You have proven. Interesting. But evolution favors the adaptable." "Couldn't agree more," Lisa replied as she activated the bioecho. The device emitted no sound or light, but the effect was immediate. The Supreme Commander convulsed as its body began to revert to its original form. Layers of stolen biology peeled away, revealing a much smaller, almost fragile creature beneath. "Now," Lisa shouted. Her team fired disruptors at the weakened commander, while Lisa placed explosive charges on the Doomsday device. They retreated as the charges detonated, destroying both the machine and the Supreme Commander. Throughout the hive, all Vex soldiers connected to their leader began to fail as the bioechoes effect spread through their network. The same scene repeated in Vex strongholds worldwide. By sunset, the last major Vex force had surrendered or been destroyed. Earth had won. 3 months later, Jack Howard stood before the Galactic Council, now assembled on Earth. Representatives from hundreds of worlds watched as he spoke. Earth formally accepts membership in the Confederation, Jack announced. But on equal terms, we've proven humanity's worth. The High Chancellor nodded in agreement. The galaxy once saw humans as weak. We were wrong. Your species has shown remarkable strength, not through biological advantages, but through cooperation, innovation, and determination. Ambassador Xalvoth stepped forward. The Council has created a new position. Earth will leave the Confederation's defense forces, with General Howard as commander. As the assembly applauded, Susan Wright watched from the side, standing with her mixed crew. Krex leaned toward her. "Did you ever imagine this outcome when we rescued those colonists?" he asked. Susan smiled. "Humans have always been good at surprising others. Now the whole galaxy knows it." Outside, ships from across the stars filled Earth's skies. Not as invaders, but as visitors and allies. The world that had stood alone against destruction was now the heart of a new galactic order.